Half the year of 2025 is already in the books. And what does that mean for car manufacturers? It means we have Q2 results. We have first half results of sales. If you guys enjoy the nerdy side of car news, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and we're going to go into Toyota and Lexus in this video. And I'm going to be working like a dog to get a video on just about every single manufacturer, especially the ones I cover here on this channel, from the Japanese to the Korean side of things and more. So if you guys are excited for all the first half updates, Q2 updates that are in the books, make sure to stay tuned, locked in on the channel, and let's get into Toyota. Toyota Motor North America reports June second quarter 2025 sales results. Guys, I am fizzing. I am super excited to cover this. Second quarter of electrified Toyota and Lexus sales make up over 46% of total sales volume. By the end of this year and going into next year, when the RAV4 is fully electrified, this 46% will be well over 50% of total sales volume. And I will be driving the new RAV4 later this year, so stay tuned for my driving impressions of the new RAV4. 32 electrified vehicle options available, the most among any automaker, and more, with more in showrooms throughout 2025. Toyota is just barely up. They sold in June 193,000 vehicles, up 0.1% on a volume basis and up 8.4% on a daily selling rate. Sometimes it just happens. Maybe you have an extra weekend in a month. Maybe that was in 2024, but that's crazy to have 8% up. While June is essentially a wash for Toyota, look at Q2. Q2, Toyota's up 7% on a volume basis and 7.2% on a daily selling rate basis. Toyota has the lowest incentives among full-line manufacturers. What does that mean? It means their crap don't stink. They can sell any car they want, essentially, with little to no incentives. And this needs to stop. How does this stop? How do the dealers stop charging whatever they want? Well, unfortunately, Toyota makes a good product. So when you have such a good product and reliable product that Toyota has built their brand around for so long, they can command like vehicle sales with no incentives or little incentives, all right? And the dealers run with it. The only real answer here is buy a different manufacturer. I looked at Honda CR-Vs in my area yesterday, hybrids, almost 2,000. It's unreal. You could probably get a CR-V hybrid for $2-3 grand off, maybe more, all right? I looked at Mazdas in my area, huge discounts. And in many ways, those are both better cars than Toyotas. It just depends on the model, right? But that you should be absolutely be cross-shopping a Toyota, all right? You're not going to get, more than likely, unless you know someone or you know the dealers or something, or you work for Toyota, more than likely, you're going to pay more for a Toyota. No, you might be saying, Kirk, that's fine with me because I know what to expect from Toyota and they have better resale value. You know, keep in mind, you're paying a lot up front. How much of that resale value is going to matter down the line? I don't know. The highlights are done. Now it's time to get into the individual models. All right. If we look at the total calendar year, maybe I need to change my cursor. Yellow is kind of hard to see. Maybe we'll change it to the orange. Let me know if you guys prefer orange. Orange is a little bit easier to see on this white background. Toyota up 4% on the year, only up, guys, 0.1% on the month of June. Now, Toyota isn't in this graph. It's just month. It's not quarter. All right. So because they combine Q1 and Q2 on the far right. All right. So keep that in mind. We don't have quarterly numbers here, but let's keep rolling. Corolla doing well on the month, up 2% on a volume basis, but it's down almost 2% on the year. Now, the Corolla, most of them, I wouldn't say most of them, but a huge portion of them are brought in from Japan. And again, as tariffs continue on, how will these affect these automakers? How will they affect these automakers? It will affect them massively. It already is affecting them massively. All right, Corolla, they have an underused Mississippi plant where they build the Corolla sedan. So they could build more variants of the Corolla in Mississippi to avoid tariffs. All right, Supra. Supra's having a rough year, down 20%. There's just not a lot of demand for it. People who wanted to buy a Supra, already bought one a while ago. Let's see here. GR86, again, sport cars. Maybe the market for sport cars is tailing off quite hard. It's down 27% on the year. Mirai, whatever, Crown. Okay, why is the Crown down 64%? It's because the Crown Signia exists. All right. And that's a far more practical vehicle for the US market. And the Crown sedan that we have is the least desirable Toyota by a landslide. Questionable styling, questionable packaging, weird shape. So it's just, yeah, it's a good car. It's just so bizarre. And yeah, they've sold 5,000 this year. They sold almost 15,000 by this point last year. Prius is up 120%. It was on like stop sale and recall last year. So it's up 120% on the year, but look, it's up like 3,000% on the month. They only sold 13 last year in the month of June. Just crazy. Camry's humming right along, guys. Camry's at a wash for the year, but it's growing volume, up 3% on the month of June. All right. They're pacing 310,000 Camrys. That's a lot. We'll come back to Lexus. We'll come back to Lexus here in a little bit. Let's go over Toyota crossovers and trucks and minivans, and then we'll head back up to Lexus. BZ4X, minus 2%. Who knows what's going to happen? Toyota has all these EVs coming out. The BZ Woodland, the CHR, okay, the refreshed BZ4X. But incentives are getting thrown out the window. Okay, many states, California killed their EV tax credit a couple of years ago at this point. The United States government is killing the EV tax credit, and that is going to completely tank the EV market. The only way the EV market survives in the end is they find ways to make it cheaper. But the problem is like these minerals, they're not getting any cheaper, especially the rare earths that China has full control over. Oh, yeah, you can't play the Switch too, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, and the EV tax credit, I think, is getting killed at the end of September last time I looked. So it's looking bad. And keep in mind, all Toyota's EVs at this point are imported from Japan. So it's looking sketchy for them. All right, RAV4 here. It's down about 9,000 units versus last year. So that's a total of about almost 4%. And it's going to keep going down. And the reason is they're going to be switching over to the new one by the end of this year, probably fall. October, December would be my guess is when they switch over for the new generation RAV4. The plants that build it in Canada and in the United States, they could be down like a week, or the assembly lines for that specific vehicle could be down a week for it to be retooled for the new one. So we'll see. It's not gonna get 475 this year. Maybe in 2026 with the redesign, that's a possibility unless they have some sort of part supply issue with the new redesign. Corolla Cross up 14%. They are going to sell over 100,000 this year. They're getting closer to maxing out the capacity of that plant in Mississippi, where it's made alongside the CX-50 from Mazda. The capacity at that plant for Toyota is 150,000. Does Toyota really need this car, the Corolla Cross? Yeah, I mean, I might be driving it by the early fall, late summer situation. We'll see. But like, I think it's an amazing upgrade with the refresh, especially in the hybrid Corolla Cross. It costs pretty much like what a Camry costs, and I'd rather buy a Camry. So there are my thoughts there on the Corolla Cross. It's a fine vehicle. It's cute. If you live in a smaller space, like a tight town, a city, something like that, I'd still rather have something like a Prius than a Corolla Cross. So this one is kind of like the odd one out, I think, in the lineup, the Corolla Cross, at least in the United States. But it's an important segment. It was growing really fast, this segment, but it's really cooled off. Look at the Koreans with like the Kona and the Seltos. That segment's really cooling down. All right, Crown Signia. Well, this is where all that volume is. Again, let's go back to the Crown. The Crown was down about 9,000 units, but the Crown Signia has more than made up for it. It has 12,000 sales. All right, Venza, rest in peace. Oh, that's a tough one for me. But again, having the Venza in our market doesn't make a lot of sense. You could say it made more sense than the Crown sedan, and I'm not going to argue that. But the Venza, now that we have the Crown Signia here as well, the Venza is just too close to a Lexus. Crown Signia as well, but the Crown Signia is a wagon. There's nothing like it in Toyota's lineup stateside. All right, Highlander is going to be in the tank. It's down 50%. Again, watch my Highlander update video and the Grand Highlander. So Highlander is likely, well, it is going to Kentucky. All right, by the end of the next year, it'll become an EV. Hopefully, it's not just an EV. If it's EV only, as the EV tax credit gets crushed, it's going to be a tough sell. Look how difficult of a time the fantastic Ioniq 9 and Ioniq 9 and EV9 from the Koreans are struggling in their great 3-row EVs. Hopefully the Highlander, Toyota and their infinite multi-pathway approach powertrain wisdom can bring in hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and battery electric versions of that Highlander. Grand Highlander, it just left yesterday. Check out my review with the family. It's a fantastic SUV for families. All right, it's up 18%. And that's the thing, like the Highlander also doesn't make a lot of sense stateside anymore because the Grand Highlander does everything better. It does everything better besides maybe ride quality, but it does everything else just a little bit better. More space, more powertrain options, more features. It's fantastic. All right. 4Runner, minus 55%. Again, they went from the 5th gen to the 6th gen, and I don't think people are as excited for the 4Runner as the previous generations. They got rid of the V6. Sales are in the tank. Does it mean availability is in the tank? Well, I'm kind of curious. There's actually a decent amount in my area, but again, the pricing for this vehicle is just so awful. Only 4Runner I can recommend is the SR5. And look, guys, the fact that we're getting discounts on the 4Runner is obnoxious. It tells you Toyota's screwed up with the 4Runner. How have they screwed up with it? Well, no V6. That's a starter. 2 has gotten too expensive. Even the base grade here, as we're seeing discounts, guys, look, SR5 Premium, $3,000 discount. All right, that's a previous model year, so that one's weird. This might not be accurate. All right, but here, this one's almost a $3,000 discount. So it's a good buy. I really enjoyed the new 4Runner, but I know it's not. The styling to me is whack. The front end is hideous, and it was tough because like I talked to the head designer, and I'm like, most of it looks pretty good. The front end not so sure yet. Maybe it's going to take some time. But I said from most angles it looks okay. But I think most of you guys would agree that the previous gen 4Runner looks better. And the V6. I mean, those two things, and then the market's cooling too. Toyota didn't do enough for the 4Runner to differentiate it from the Land Cruiser, in my opinion. And it doesn't have it. It looks so bad compared to the Tacoma, and it's a tough one. I get it. It's fun to drive. It's a good driving SUV, but it's not the old 4Runner. What is okay, so the highest volume is between SR5, which it should be, the base grade, and there's not even a TRD Pro. There's no Trail Hunter here. So let's look at TRD Off-Road Premium. All right, you're seeing price jumps on this too. $2,000 price drop. Maybe all Toyota trucks are going to be heavily discounted. All right, let's go ahead and look at Tacoma. Tacoma's a tough sell. Again, like the 4Runner, when it got redesigned, it went way up in price. So these are the base SRs. Most people are not going to buy a base SR. So let's look at an SR5. There are a ton of SRs in my area. More SR5s, TRD Sports, TRD. There are no TRD Pros. No one's buying the super high end. If they are, they're custom ordering it. All right, look, almost a $4,000 price drop here, guys. This is a $6,000, almost $6,000 price drop on the SR5 Tacoma. No longer a V6. People don't like that. All right, that's why I highly recommend the Frontier over this. The engine's so good. The hydraulic steering is so good. The new Tacoma, the new 4Runner are looking to be big missteps for Toyota in the United States. What about the Tundra? Most of them are SR5s. So let's go ahead and click an SR5, 50 grand, 3 grand price drop there. Let's see here. 5 grand price drop on a Tundra. Again, their reliability reputation is in the tank with this one because of the twin turbo issues. Okay, the twin turbo. First, it was the wastegate issues. Then it's the engine throwing rods with the recalls. 200,000 or something were recalled. And I don't even want to look at the Sequoia because the Sequoia is not going to fare any better, in my opinion, at this point. All right, it's too compromised. So let's get back to the spreadsheet. Getting back to the spreadsheet, I wonder when we get to Toyota trucks in a second how well it's going to be represented. Sequoia is down 5%, but it's down 9% on a volume basis for the month of June. Yikes. Land Cruiser up 700%. We just don't know where the volume is going to fall on this, but they've sold 27,000. They've sold almost as many Land Cruisers as 4Runners. Well, the design is so much better on the Land Cruiser that it seems like the top market for the 4Runner buyers are just going and buying Land Cruisers. So maybe once it's over $50,000, they're like, screw it, I'm just going to buy a Land Cruiser. I would too. The Land Cruiser is the 4Runner is a better driving vehicle. The Land Cruiser is, you get the badge and you get the styling. And styling is very important right now. And the 4Runner is ugly. It's just too bad. It's really sad. Toyota Sienna. Guys, people need minivans. People need efficient minivans. People need sliding doors for families. And the cargo capacity that SUVs just can't offer unless you're buying a bus of a Suburban. All right, Sienna up 60%. So what's going on is they're allocating more production. They're reducing, guys, look how much they're reducing Highlander volume. The Sienna is almost doubling up the Highlander volume. People need more minivans. We'll find out in other videos when we cover that the Odyssey is going to be crushing it. The Carnival is crushing it. All right. Tacoma. Okay. Why is Tacoma sales doubled up? Well, the volume is where it should be. The sales volume is where it should be. All right. They're going to be selling, they're on pace to sell 260,000 Tacomas. Now, looking at sales, they're on pace to sell more Tacomas than they ever have. So I just crapped all over the Tacoma. I don't mind the Tacoma. It's just expensive, okay? And I know a lot of people are less interested in it because of, okay, so why are we so far ahead? If the Tacoma sales are 260,000 pacing, why is it so far ahead? Tariffs, guys. I bet Toyota down in Mexico at their Baja and Guanajuato plant, they're like, let's make as many Tacomas as we freaking possibly can ahead of the tariffs. And so they have all this inventory and we're seeing massive discounts on the Tacoma. But they're pacing a record level of sales. Will they beat 2021? And I'm going to say no. We'll see. Maybe I'll see you in January of 2026 and Tacoma broke its all-time sales record. I don't think it's going to happen. The market's going to keep cooling. The tariffs are going to keep increasing the costs of things over time. And people's affordability keeps going down. Things keep getting more expensive. People aren't making hardly any more money. All right. So that cools off the car market. You're going to see massive discounts on the Tacoma. Does that mean Toyota's not going to be able to sell as many? I don't know. Maybe. And if they are selling, if they do end up selling close to 250, 260,000 like they did in 2021, they're doing it making less money. The profit, the tariffs are eating into the profits on the Tacoma, and we're seeing massive discounts. No one's paying MSRP on a Tacoma unless you're custom ordering one or something. Everyone is paying $2, $3, $4 grand under MSRP, and same for the other trucks as well. Even the new 4Runner, brand new 4Runner already being discounted. Crazy. All right, let's get back into the sales. Tundra down 4%. Well, it's heading in the wrong direction. It's down 12% in June. Toyota trucks, man, they're not what they used to be. They're not what they used to be. Toyota is really leveraging their strength in crossovers right now. How is Lexus, luxury division of Toyota, how are they looking right now? Lexus IS down 3%. IS 500 likely to be discontinued with this last Ultimate Edition, also known as the Climax Edition in Japan, down 16% on the month. Lexus RC, rest in peace, numbers are in the tank. Lexus ES, volumes down. All of our ESs, for the most part, there are some exceptions, but I would say the vast majority of them come from Kentucky, down 13% on the month, down 2% on the year. The new redesign, I'm hearing so much negativity about the redesign on the ES, and it worries me. You got to keep in mind the new ES is likely also to replace the LS, as Lexus is calling it a flagship, a global flagship. What does that mean for the LS? That's more expensive, at least for now. Well, it means there's probably no future for the LS as we know it. All right, LS sales volume down 43%, and it's getting worse, over 50% on the month of June. LC 500, this vehicle likely to be canceled in the very near future, this year or next year as well. We're just waiting for the final words. All right, it looks like it's going to be canceled in Japan, and if it gets canceled in Japan, there's a good chance it's hardly on sale anywhere in the world, the LC 500, because of emissions regulations. So Lexus sedans, Lexus coupes, weak. All of them down, negative. Is Lexus just going to be like Buick or Lincoln? I don't know why I even said Buick. Buick sales are through the roof right now, but it's like, is Lexus just going to kill off the IS, the RC, the LS, the LC, just have the ES and the new coupe for their sedans? It would suck, but that's the reality we live in. All these old people who have money, who are buying Lexus, they're buying crossovers, most of them. All right, there are exceptions, obviously, because there's still sales here, but these sales are shrinking year after year after year after year. All right, Lexus crossovers. UX down 7%. UX is a joke. Too expensive, way too small, ridiculously small. Packaging's terrible in it. It's just so compromised. Get a Prius, get a Corolla Cross, save your money, essentially, or just get a RAV4. A RAV4, well-equipped, is way better than this. It costs a lot less money. Okay, UX does some things well, but not well enough to justify the price for what you're getting. Lexus NX, up 10%. The NX, 10% up on the year, down 8% on the month. Guys, it looks like things are cooling off for even the Lexus crossovers. All right, RZ, well, they just refreshed it, but the refresh is so underwhelming that I didn't even cover it at ToyotaCon. They had the RZ 550e there, and I just like, oh yeah, it's kind of in the background next to the new ES. The RZ, when it came out, it was already outdated and behind the curve. Doesn't mean it's a bad car. It's insanely smooth. If you get a killer lease deal on one, RZ is a good Lexus, only as a city car. Charges slow, range is bad on it. Okay. RX, their cash cow. This is bad. When the RX is down 4%, I mean, I think the RX has questionable styling. Many of you disagree with me. I think the NX is the best looking Lexus crossover. That's not an SUV, meaning not a GX I'm talking about. But the RX, with its spindle body grille and its huge overhangs and the Lexus logo like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer up front, it just needs a massive refresh. The second it came out, everyone, I wouldn't say everyone, but people were very torn on the styling of it. The previous redesign, the 4th gen RX in the 2020 to 2023 model years, I think it was, they kind of made the spindle grille look quite good, even in the F Sports. Now the F Sports look worse than the standard models. So the RX styling is not there. The RX package, it's not that compelling over the NX. The NX to me is what the RX used to be, the RX 300, the RX 330, and then they went to the RX 4th generation. So what was it? 3rd generation RXs? Yeah, the 3rd generation RXs got real boaty and big. All right, and it kind of lost its identity. All right, but and then the NX is here to kind of keep that old RX identity around. But the NX does struggle from bad interior. Not terrible interior, but it should be more luxurious. So Lexus needs to improve their game with when they redesign the NX interior. It's very underwhelming. The rest of the car is really, really good. TX. Remember TX and Grand Highlander last year were on stop sale because of a safety issue with the vehicle. It's up about 20% this year. TX is a fine vehicle. It's really expensive though, and I just reviewed the Grand Highlander, and I'd rather save 10 to 20 grand on a Grand Highlander. The TX has better ride quality, has a little bit better NVH. Guys, it uses the same door panels and fenders as a Grand Highlander, and it looks worse. So TX, Lexus needed it for years. I'm glad it exists, but it's such a cheap implementation of a 3-row when the Toyota looks and is almost exactly the same. Now that you might be saying, Kirk, what about the GX and the Land Cruiser? Well, here's the thing. The GX and the Land Cruiser have always been the same. The GX has always been a Lexified version of the Land Cruiser Prado. We never got the Prado stateside until now. We have it now in the J250. The GX smokes the Land Cruiser, in my opinion, because the styling is equal. All right. It depends on what day you catch me. Sometimes I like the Land Cruiser better. Sometimes I like the GX styling. They're both gorgeous SUVs. But the GX has that twin turbo V6 and the 10-speed auto, and it's a better powertrain, assuming it doesn't get recalled or doesn't have any of the issues that the Tundra is having. It's a slightly different version of that twin turbo V6 in the GX compared to the Tundra. But the powertrain in the GX is way better than the hybrid 4-cylinder in the Land Cruiser. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Fuel economy is not that much different, and you get so much more power and a more enjoyable experience, in my opinion. All right, twin turbo V6 for the win in the GX, and that's why I take it over the Land Cruiser. All right, LX. LX is having sort of a revival. Remember, I just off-roaded the 700H over trail. The new 700H LX is what the LX should have launched as. It should have never had just a twin turbo V6. When the LX launched with a twin turbo V6, it was nowhere close to a Lexus LX quality and smoothness in years past with the 470 and the 570s with the V8. The new hybrid has matched the old V8s. It's that good. It's so smooth, so powerful. It also is very, very expensive, but at least it gives you that Lexus refinement that the LX deserves. GX does not have that refinement. All right. Take it, it's just, it doesn't feel solid. Hopefully over the years, they'll keep stiffening up the GX, but it just doesn't feel like a luxury vehicle. It feels more like a premium safari SUV or something. So with that being said, I've covered everything here. Minivans are hot. Toyota trucks, well, the Tacoma's hot. They rushed the production on it probably to get ahead of tariffs. Tacoma, keep in mind, they're up 85% on the year or 89%, but in the month of June, it went down to 44%. So it's cooling off. They're unlikely to beat their 2021 sales record. Lexus, the TX is really helping them out right now. If it wasn't for the TX and the GX, Lexus would probably be in the tank. And I also heard that Lexus has beaten BMW for first half sales by just a little bit. So Lexus is doing well, and it's whoever can run the race the best as we go into the second half of the year. All right, for the luxury division. Toyota crossovers doing well. RAV4 hanging in there, essentially. Grand Highlander making up for the sales. The Corolla Cross doing extremely well. All right, 4Runner in the tank. And I'm worried about the 4Runner, to be honest. There's just too much overlap now in Toyota's lineup. And then Lexus sedans, it's a bloodbath. Toyota sedans, the Prius, the Camry, and the Corolla are all doing well. But Toyota's Crown is a joke now that we have the Mirai. Now that we have the Crown Signia, and the GR86 and the Supra are on their shelf life is coming up soon, as we'll get new iterations of them in the next few years, and there might be a gap. The Supra might be canceled out of Austria before Toyota can come up with their own Supra once again, made in Japan. All right, I'll see you guys in the comments. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more sales updates. I want to go all day on this, but the thing is, my voice is a limiting factor. I've been speaking for 40 minutes straight. So we'll take it in stride as we go. Thank you guys for watching. Toyota sales hanging on. They're up 4% on the year, up just 1% on the month, with Lexus starting to drag down Toyota. I'll catch you in the comments. See you in the next one. Peace.